Up next, we have Dr. Jeri Ropero Miller, who will give a 2022 Forensic Technology Center of Excellence update. Dr. Ropero Miller is the Senior Director within the Center of Forensic Sciences of the Applied Justice Research Division at RTI International. With expertise and board certification in the discipline of forensic toxicology, she has published nationally and internationally on topics of post-mortem drug studies, emerging drug threats, hair drug studies, drug surveillance and intelligence, and technology evaluation and adoption. She is the Program Director for the National Institute of Justice's Forensic Technology Center of Excellence and its Criminal Justice Technology Evaluation Consortium. The current Project Associate Director for the Drug Enforcement Administration-funded National Forensic Laboratory Information System Project, and the co-director for the Bureau of Justice Statistics-funded 2018 Census of Medical Examiners, Coroners, Offices, and 2019 Census of Publicly Funded Forensic Crime Laboratories. She received her doctorate in clinical chemistry and forensic toxicology from the University of Florida College of Medicine. Dr. Ropero Miller is also the immediate past president of the American Academy of Forensic Sciences and a member of the Forensic Sciences Standards Board. Without further ado, here's Dr. Ropero Miller.
Hello, I am Jeri Ropero Miller. I am the project director for the Forensic Technology Center of Excellence, and I'm also the senior director for our Center for Forensic Sciences here at RTI International. Thank you for allowing me to join today to give you a 2022 update of the Forensic Technology Center of Excellence, or FTCOE, about all the great things that we have been doing to bring to the forensic science community and the criminal justice community. So just a quick disclaimer that everything I'll be presenting today is my opinion, and it does not necessarily reflect those opinions or conclusions and recommendations expressed by the National Institute of Justice and the Department of Justice. So what is the FTCOE? Currently, the FTCOE, which is an NIJ program, is led by RTI International with a cooperative agreement. We are getting ready to begin a new award in 2022, but our current award and everything I'll be presenting to you today was done under our 2016 award. And the FTCOE supports the implementation of new forensic technology best practices to the end users. It also looks to elevate the status of forensic science through advancing technology, addressing challenges, and sharing knowledge, the three prongs of what we do. To do this, we work on all of these three initiatives to bring the gaps between the scientific and justice communities closer together. So when I say advancing technology, just to give you some examples of what that means for FTCOE activities, advancing technologies is really about managing testing and evaluation of emerging technologies to look at how to remove potential implementation barriers. And some of the things we do are technical evaluations that happen in the field or in the laboratory. We also provide technical assistance to our either large groups or laboratories or a particular community and guidance resources. In addition to advancing technology, we have addressing challenges, and this really is everything we do to support the NIJ and its efforts to maintain its R&D portfolio. And we look to employ proven methods to drive our R&D adoption and outcomes. And finally, we have sharing knowledge, and this is all about knowledge transfer, a big component of what we do. When you look at the RDT&E process, or research, development, testing, and evaluation, all of that has to end with sharing knowledge to be able to have implementation or move research to practice. And some of the things that we do really do focus on a blended learning environment. It isn't a one size fits all for us. So we have discussion panels, our expert working groups, which a few I'll talk about today, podcasts, specialized events that are policy and practice forums that you'll also learn about today, and web-based presentations and webinars and workshops are just to name a few, some of the things that the FTCOE supports. So what about our approach? What do we do as an FTCOE to engage and immerse within the community of practice? We really don't have an activity that we do not rely on information from the community of practice that we're looking to assist and support. So every activity that we do is going to those stakeholders and speaking with individuals and experts that can really help us hone in on what are the best practices or the lessons learned or barriers that need to be overcome. And we look at this and look at the needs and the challenges from different perspectives. It's not just looking at things scientifically or technologically, but we look at the behavioral component of it. It could be a really great technology, but if it's not going to support the culture that exists and you're not going to be able to overcome barriers, then that could be problematic. So we try to look at that from beginning to end. And also a multi-sector view. While we may be developing something for the forensic laboratory or for law enforcement, we look at how it will affect other parts of the criminal justice system or public safety and public health. And we try to fold that into the perspective that we are sharing. And finally, the societal impact. Everything that we do will have some type of impact with the public, and we look to try to answer questions early on with this as well. So we first began a forensic optical topography working group in 2015, but in 2009, NIJ began funding research specific for 3D imaging technologies for firearm examinations. But in 2015, they, FTCOE with NIJ and others, established a forensic optical topography working group that has continued to do many great things. The members include federal agencies, universities, state, local, and even international agencies, and manufacturers. And the goals for this working group are to establish the applicability and validity of optical topography to forensic investigations by examining instrumentation, methods, the data systems, and analysis from a practical perspective for ballistics and toolmark identification. And the other goal is to actually look at and identify system requirements when you're looking at bringing this technology and deploying it in a forensic laboratory. In 2016, the working group worked on and published a landscape study of forensic optical topography. And this landscape study, if you have not had a chance to look at it, you can find it on the FTCOE website. Just put in a search term such as optical topography, and it'll bring up in our resources. And what's great about this is it has been a few years since 2016. So we are currently working to update that landscape report, and that should be out in early 2022. Another working group that we've had since 2020 is the terrestrial LiDAR scanning working group. This working group has threefold of goals. First is to develop resources that reflect consensus-based best practices to standardize and improve the use and application of terrestrial LiDAR scanning, or TLS, in crime scene documentation and reconstruction. Second is to establish a minimum standard for capture, processing, analysis, visualization, presentation, and storage of terrestrial LiDAR scanning data in a forensic context, very important. And finally, to promote uniform implementation and use of TLS, technology in practice, ultimately improving practitioner ability to attain scientifically supportable conclusions from the TLS data. We are currently working on a guidance document. The working group is looking to have this published in early 2022. And again, it will be on the FTCOE website for you to check out. And our third working group that I'd like to share with you is the 3D Toolmark technologies, or affectionately known as the TWIG 3D 2D. This working group was established by the FBI in 2018, and it is supported by the FTCOE. It has numerous objectives. You can see the list here. But one is to define the scope and practice areas of the disciplines for firearms, Toolmark specific to 3D measurement technologies and its application to the disciplines of firearms and Toolmarks. Second is to look at recommending standards for practice, protocols, reports, limitations, terminology, and even the data interpretation and the wording of conclusions. Again, very important aspects of implementing this technology. Education and training, again, is very important for this working group to support, and the R&D that continues for this technology and how to move it along and move it from a research entity into practice. And you can see the other ones here and look on the website to find out more about what the working group is doing. Podcasts are another way that we disseminate information. Webinars, as you know, are a forum where you can talk about information for a technology or best practices in a more didactic kind of teaching mentality, whereas podcasts really offer a different perspective because it's a discussion where individuals are talking about a particular topic. The podcasts for Just Science range from about 30 to 45 minutes, and we have a season with a weekly release of the podcasts. In December 3rd to be exact, we had a podcast episode entitled Just Advanced Capabilities in Firearm and Toolmark Analysis. And this is the beginning of a podcast that supported kind of leading up to our firearm and Toolmarks policy and practice that will happen in January 2022. In addition to this most recent podcast, we have 4 or 5 other podcasts that began as early as 2017 that are specific to firearms or Toolmark analysis. So I invite you to, again, go to the website and pull up some of these. They're really very interesting and kind of look at things and ask questions that you wouldn't necessarily think about until you get into a discussion. Webinars, as I mentioned, is another way that FTCOE brings training to an individual, both virtually in a live environment, but also in a recorded on-demand environment. This year alone, we have been able to produce more than 40 webinars in 2021. And over the lifespan of our awards as the FTCOE, we have close to 300 webinars that are available on our website on many forensic discipline topics, but also topics as far as leadership and management and other policy and other topics. Most of our webinars run about 60 minutes, and that does include a Q&A time, so the audience can ask what questions they've thought about during the presentation. And all of our webinars offer a certificate of completion that's available right immediately after you attend the webinar. Some of our webinars actually have continuing education credits through many or several organizations that I've listed here. And we have a webinar series that again is running between December of 2021 through January of 2022. That is a firearm and toolmark webinar series. And you can see the 4 topics that will be covered during this webinar series. I hope by the time you see me presenting today, you're already aware of a couple of these and have actually taken them. So another symposium that the FTCOE supports for NIJ is NIJ's Forensic Science R&D Symposium. This R&D Symposium is held in conjunction with the American Academy of Forensic Sciences meeting. And in 2022, it will be held March 1st and 2nd, but the Academy itself will have its meeting in Seattle, Washington. The R&D Symposium will be an all virtual event delivering not only 16 podium presentations, but also 16 poster presentations. So it's a day-long event that has a lot of scientific findings that I encourage you to have a look. These presentations will be streamed virtually, and again, they will be archived on the FTCOE website. So if you don't have a chance to take them the day of the events, March 1st and 2nd, you can always go back and take them at a different time or review them if there was something that you wanted to see again. Another thing that the FTCOE has supported are mobile apps. We have 2 mobile apps currently, and one is to look at the national best practices for sexual assault kits, and the other one is to look at trace evidence collection. Both of these were released in 2021 and are available in both the Google mode and in the Apple mode. The Trace Evidence Collection mobile app was actually created, the content was created by the NIST OSAC Materials and Trace Subcommittee, and then they worked with us to actually develop the mobile app. And it looks at an overview of multiple types of scene where different types of trace evidence may be collected, and also provides helpful collection checklists. That what's great about a mobile app is you can actually look at it when you don't have access to the internet. And that's what a mobile app is all about. Some other tools and resources that the FTCOE has been working on or has already developed, and they are on our website, are toolkits. I've given you here 4 different toolkits that we have on our website. One is looking at accreditation for laboratories and how to help laboratories with their accreditation process. We have workforce calculators to look at the workforce for a particular discipline in your laboratory to see if you have too many, which I don't think most of us can relate to. It's more about being able to show how many more you need in your workforce to get that backlog down. And you can see 2 others here. One that again will be our newest one that will come in winter 2022 is our direct to DNA return on investment calculator. As I said in a previous slide, we also support technology evaluations. The one that I wanted to really point out today is the one that both of these will be published in early 2022, but you can see the first one is on the evaluation of optical 3D scanning of footwear and tire impressions. Program evaluations are another thing that we look at. Once a program is implemented and laboratories or different stakeholders begin to use that program, it's always good to go back and evaluate, what has worked with that program, what needs to, happen to advance it in the future. Many questions, and these program evaluations are very helpful also for getting the word out there for others that may not be familiar that program exists, and they kind of want to kick the wheels of being able to evaluate if it's something that they could implement in your own laboratory. The one that is here is on the Project Echo training. And so this is telemedicine type training for medical legal death investigation that's ongoing in the New Mexico area and surrounding areas. And it really does showcase the lessons learned and best practices. And finally, the last resource I just wanted to put out there is that the FTCOE can help with process maps. One of the process maps that we looked at was looking at facility design for laboratories. When you're looking at building a new facility or renovating an old facility, and what is that process of implementing? As many of us know, that could be a year-long process, and trying to think about it early on and plan for it, a process map can be very helpful. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I am leaving behind our contact information besides the website that I mentioned several times. You can contact me as the FTCOE project director, but more importantly, the NIJ program manager, Jonathan McGrath, and the other grant managers can help you with being able to find resources that are available for the FTCOE, or even talk through resources that you'd like to see in the future that we can maybe help with. So with that, thank you, and enjoy the rest of the Policy and Practice Forum.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Ropero Miller, for your presentation. We are out of time for a question and answer session with Dr. Ropero Miller. However, please type any questions you may have into the chat pod and we will get them answered for you. We will now take a short 10-minute break and return for more presentations and a discussion moderated by Heather Sherbert of the FBI Laboratory.